Hi there, this is Srikant Dasari. So in this lesson, we are going to introduce ourselves to C programming language, its history, origin, and various implementations in the software world. Okay, so C programming language was created as a byproduct of Unix operating system. Okay, so in these days we have many operating systems such as Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So back in those days, in the early late 60s and early 70s, the only operating system which ruled the world is Unix operating system. But there is a problem with the Unix operating system which is existing at that time, is that the already existing Unix operating system before the invention of the C language was created using the low level language like assembly level language. Okay, so the person who created the C language, Dennis Ritchie, who is considered as the father of C language, is also the responsible for creating the Unix operating system. Okay, so what happened is the reason it was the Unix is having some drawback at that time is that the Unix operating system was developed using the low level language like assembly level language. The problem with that is, so every new architecture, or every if a company is coming with a new PC architecture, again they have to rewrite the entire Unix operating system based on that architecture and based on that assembly level language code. Okay, so this became a very tedious and time taking process. So all the scientists and engineers, especially the scientists like Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, at working at Bell Laboratories, USA, found that so they are going in a very wrong direction, and they need a language which is a new technology invented or created with a new kind of technology, and it should be very highly portable, and it should adapt if you're developing any software in that language. Excuse me, it's popping out. Okay, so if you develop any language or if you develop any software using that technology, it should not create it should run uniformly on every platform. Okay, so if you're giving a software to a person, the executable in the form of executable, it should run in any operating system or any environment. Okay, so it should be portable. It should not. We need not again write the code or rewrite the assembly, rewrite the software in that architecture. Okay, once again, so that is the main goal, which is known as portability for designing the C programming language. Okay, so C programming language was partly based on B language, which is developed by Ken Thompson. Ken Thompson, and he has taken the B language inspiration from the already existing widely popular programming language known as BCPL. Okay, it's a systems programming language developed in the mid 60s. Okay, excuse me, systems programming language. Okay, so by 1970s, the Ritchie began developing the extended version of a B language. Okay, so in the late 60s, in the late 60s or so, they have started developing the actual code. Okay, the original name given to the C language was New P. Okay, so but slowly the C language differed so many features with the existing B language, so they have completely renamed the language as C programming language. Okay, so by late the year 72 and the beginnings of 73, C language has become so hugely popular such that the entire Unix operating system was rewritten in the C programming language. Okay, so this led C programming language gain huge popularity among the programming world. Okay, so until that time the Unix has existed, but it is having a problem such that it is designed using the assembly level language code. Okay, so it lacked the feature known as portability. So as soon as the scientists and developers rewritten the entire Unix operating system using C language, it became hugely portable, which means that which means that now whatever the Unix operating system is, now whatever the architecture the companies are coming out, so they can use that Unix operating system and exactly which is written in the C language. Okay, so the standardization of C language is the next topic here. So standardization of the C language is nothing but universally. So after the C language gained huge popularity in the worldwide programming world. So the initial C language was known as the standard set by Brian Kernighan and Dennis Ritchie, the two people responsible for the development of the C language. So that's the reason. Initially the C language standards were followed by the book written by both of them, known as the C programming language. Okay, so that is the book which is used as the standard reference for the C programming language until 1989. Okay, so and by 1989 the ANSI, American National Standards Institute, has set up a committee, and that committee made some suggestions followed by international standards. Okay, so they have given some specifications which was came out in the year 89-90, so that whatever the features got added, and there is some unwanted features have been removed from the language. So in the year, so that is called, so up to that standards, that is known as 89-90 standard. Okay, see 89-90 standard. And after that, again in the year 1999, once again the ANSI committee, and under the leadership of international standards organizations, and both of them again reiterated those specifications. Again they came out with another level of suggestions and specifications in the year 99. So that is known as C99 version. Okay, so languages based on C, if you look without the C programming language, you cannot imagine the world we are living today. Okay, so not only the programming languages, but also everything, databases, operating systems, and major developments in all the software world has come evolved from the C programming language only. Okay, so direct influence from the C programming language is taken by a language known as C++. Okay, the C++ is considered as the superset of C level C language, and it has some object oriented features inbuilt into it based on the language. C++ is entirely based on the C programming language. Okay, the C++ language is entirely based on the C programming language. In addition to that, it supports some of the object oriented programming features. Okay, so and then we have Java, which is based on somewhat C++, and it has its own capabilities and high level features, and which is in turn based on the C language. Okay, the C Sharp is the most recent language designed by Microsoft as a de facto language for the .NET environment, which is partly based on the C++ and Java, and in turn based on the C programming language. Okay, and also the web world, Perl is also very highly popular, and which is entirely based on the C language. Okay, its Perl adopts many features of the C programming language. Okay, so properties of C here in this slide we have a low level actually, but it's also low level and it's also somewhat high level. So the exact property in that classification level wise can be taken as a middle level. Okay, the C programming language worldwide is considered as a middle level language, and also it's very small and does not occupy, when you are going to install a C compiler, it does not going to occupy too much of your disk space, or it does not use a huge set of resources like RAM and memory and so on and so forth. And also it's very permissive, and we need not it's not so for each and everything there is no level of authentications required. It's very permissive. You can have low level access of high IO devices, and also memory. You can reference the memory with the use of pointers. Okay, so many things you can do in the low level things. That's the reason C is also considered as low level sometimes, and also it can act as a high level language in some situations. So universally it can be called as a middle level language also. Okay, so strengths of C programming language. If you look into the strengths, various strengths of the C programming language, the first one is efficiency. Okay, so whatever the applications developed in the C programming language are highly efficient. The efficiency here, which means that it runs on very low resources. Okay, so if you take that application, it will be able to run in small devices like embedded devices also. Okay, in small which does not have high processor and high memory and so on and so forth. So that is one of the strengths of the C programming language. You can develop efficient software which requires less resources to execute in a faster manner. Okay, so another important feature which is very base of the C programming language is portability. Just now we have discussed the programs written in C programming language run uniformly the same with very less changes. Okay, so this feature is known as portability, which is very important feature of the C programming language. Okay, and C programming language is very powerful here. Here powerful means that so here it has a huge collection of library functions inbuilt into the language. Okay, so inbuilt into the language, so huge set of libraries built into the language here. Okay, so you can use the inbuilt library functions to perform all your operations or various tasks related to scientific calculations and whatever the program you are going to develop. So it's very huge set of collection of inbuilt functions and library functions were fit into the language. Okay, so straight away you can include the header files and you can keep on using the inbuilt functions and whatever the constants built into the language. Okay, so next we have flexibility. So one of the important feature, another important feature, flexibility. Okay, so C programming language gives the ability for the developer or programmer to in highly flexible manner. Okay, so it fits into any environment easily and without any major changes you can work the same you can execute the same program with minor changes in all the operating systems in all the environments. Okay, the standard library, another feature. Okay, so standard library is provided whenever you install the C compiler. You get the libraries along with the C compiler and installed inside your along with your compiler. Okay, so that is another important feature, and it also integrated with the Unix so well. Okay, so if you want to really enhance or feel the power of C programming language, you need to work exactly with the Unix operating system. Okay, so since Unix operating system, the core or what we call the kernel of Unix operating system is developed entirely using the C programming language. So C has that built-in capabilities to interact with the operating system exactly. So in that way, integration with the Unix operating system can be considered as one of the strength of the C programming language. Okay, so every language, as soon as it has weaknesses, it has some. It has some strengths. It also has some weaknesses here, and those weaknesses are considered as programs can be error prone, which means that the user can be misled easily to make some errors. Okay, so the syntax is given in such a way that since it's based syntax is based on older languages like P language, which is in turn came from the BCPL language. So the syntax is error prone. The user may fall in the trap of making errors. Okay, no, wantedly, not wantedly, even unwantedly also he might make some errors. Okay, so with the help with the next weakness of the C is going to be the difficulty to understand the code. Okay, the code is not that readable. Since it's not a high level language, so it has many low level features like pointers and accessing the memory references. Okay, and so on and so forth. The code can be very difficult to understand if you write the real code using the pointers and all the data structures, complex code. It will be very difficult to understand the programs in the C programming language. Okay, and also another weakness of the C programming language is that it's very difficult to modify. Okay, so C programming language, once they are written, they are fixed. Okay, they compile and you give the executable to the programmers or the users, end users. Okay, it's not that easy to reusable the code whatever you have written and again reiterate. Okay, so if there is a new project is coming to your desk. So if you have already an existing project developed using the C programming language, it's not that easy to straight away take that code and modify and reuse that code once again in that another project. Okay, so it's not that easy task in doing in C programming language. Okay, so these are the weaknesses of the C programming language. So coming to the we have discussed already what are the languages which were influenced by the C programming language. So languages which are based on C programming language like C++, Java, C Sharp, and Perl, so on and so forth. And also, not only the languages, many operating systems cannot exist. We cannot imagine the world of operating systems also without the C programming language. That's because the Unix operating system was entirely designed using the C programming language, and without Unix, we cannot imagine the earliest versions of Microsoft operating system like DOS, and after that the Mac OS, which is again entirely based on the Unix, which is used by the Apple computers, and Windows, which is a copied version of Mac OS, is also based on in turn based on the Mac OS, which is in turn based on the Unix operating system, which is developed using the C programming language. Okay, so if we take Linux for example, Linux. Okay, so Linux is entirely based on Unix. Unix flavor is known as a Linux. So we cannot have Linux operating system kernel also. Okay, the system calls or whatever the kernel built-in functions inside the kernel were entirely developed using the C programming language. Okay, so not only the operating system world, we cannot imagine the world without the operating systems, and we cannot imagine the operating systems without the birth of the C programming language. Okay, and also the data, many highly successful, highly scalable, and highly performance databases and RDBMSs like Oracle, MySQL, and all are based on C programming language only. So the C programming language is not the base for developing these high level, high performance relational database management systems. Okay. So also the C has its influence there also. Okay. So entire if you take the web world, the many highly successful server-side scripting languages like PHP or CGI, Common Gateway Interface, or some versions are JavaScript engine, everything so written on the again written in the C programming language only. Okay, so you cannot imagine the world of web also. And C is one of the most de facto standard for developing the embedded applications. Okay, so embedded applications, like if you want to write a BIOS for your system or or if you're Intel people, they write the BIOS of their chips and whatever they are going to ROM. If you want to program the ROM in that low level things also, C plays a major role in those situations also. Okay, so we cannot imagine the world without all these developments. Okay, so these are the one of the standard features of C programming language. Okay, so how to efficiently use the C programming language? So this a few points were given here. Okay, so learn how to avoid the pitfalls. Okay, so we need to be very strict when we are writing programs based on the C programming syntax. Okay, so small minor things like if you miss a semicolon, that's it. It can give an error, not just error, and it can lead to some disasters. Okay, so we also need to be uh, take care about the exceptions. Okay, the exceptions are unwanted in the flow of execution of the program. They might arise in the runtime. Okay, so we need to track those exceptions and keep in mind, and particular measures should be taken well in advance if the exception rises, what how to handle the code and so on and so forth. Okay, so we need to take the advantages of existing code libraries fully. Okay, so we need to understand, so what are the libraries we have inside the built-in whenever we are installing the compiler. So we get a set of libraries. Okay, so libraries are nothing but header files. Okay, the header files means stdio.h, conio.h, mat.h, stdlib.h, so mem log.h. So there are huge collection of libraries in the form of header files here. So we need to study about the built-in functions of each and every header file and how efficiently. So until and unless we don't understand which header file consists of what kind of functions inside it, we cannot use them efficiently in our programs. Okay, so also we need to follow the coding conventions. Okay, the coding conventions are like so there are many conventions given in the way of writing programs, declaring the variable names, function names, and when to call them and how to call them. And okay, so all these things comes under the coding conventions. Okay, so coding conventions are not mandatory, but they have universally they have set some standards such that the C program should be written in this way only. So if you want to be reputed, if you want to get some good reputation as a good C programmer, so we need to follow those coding conventions. Okay, and also to avoid tricks, we need to reduce the complexity in the code. Okay, so there might be, if we as we go depth in the C programming language, so as we go more and more deep in the C programming language, there might be increasing in the complexity of the code we are writing here. Okay, so which reduces the readability of the code and understandability of the code. Okay, so that is also another difficulty and trick which we need to be aware of. Okay, so and also last but not the least, we need to stick with the standard. Okay, stick with the standards of writing the programs, following good conventions, and unwanted declaration of variables, and we need to free the memory whatever we have allocating using the memory allocation functions, and all these measures we need to take while writing the programs and developing efficient programs. All these measures must be taken into consideration. Okay, so this is all about the introduction to the C programming language, its history, origin, and language influenced, and where it was implemented, and its efficient usage of C programming language. So hope this tutorial helped you. So give a thumbs up and put your valuable feedback in the form of comments in YouTube. So see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.